Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue unpacking some R-based characters. We have been meeting this character lately, and today we switch out the gong, the bow, with bu. I think this is called a bu, or actually this is called a shi. Okay, because bu, we have two dots here. It's different thing. One dot, shi. Okay, shi. If you see here, looks like this. And together translate as divine use simply because it's more eye-catching than it's more close to ancient frequent use. Divine use does me. We don't use that in our everyday language as well. It was Buddhism religious term to regard yourself as divinity in everybody. So this me, originally, this R means you, right? We established that's a phonetic loan that you plus this shi side, and this shi has something to do with divinity. Divinity because, okay, two horizontal lines. Some scholars say it's heaven and earth, and then three vertical lines, past, present, future. And so we have this space and time, so it's kind of a human existence coordinate system. But I ever seen one Chinese character that's a wu, like a I guess shamanism before we standardized before civilization evolved further. So shamanism is the initial humans when at the dawn of consciousness, when we first exist, try to negotiate with the divine, the unknown, the environment to survive. So in that character, it's heaven and earth, and then in the middle there was this kind of totem imagery, and then we have two-person shamans dancing. I guess ancient times this shamanism used some sort of artistic expressive way to differentiate themselves as like they know the secret code to communicate with the divine, and also I guess almost logically, to attract the attention from the divinity, you dance, right? You make yourself bigger, louder, so that you get your message across. And this was streamlined, simplified into this two dot. It was two dancers. And even if visually it shows two dancers, I can imagine this is a whole circle of dancers around that totem pole, and we can regard that totem pole as kind of an antenna to send a signal, just like churches, the spire, the highest point on that surface, try to catch the attention that way. That's my even like more ancient practice reinterpretation of what this shi is about. It simply was the ancient humans at the dawn of civilization trying to survive as a way to communicate with the environment. And that symbolized divinity plus this mysterious you. That was the phonetic loan word. Together is divine you, right? Simple? No. In the middle, before Buddhism recruit this Chinese character, Buddhism from India, recruit the Chinese character to use one Chinese character to capture the concept from Buddhism of this divinity inside every one of us. Before that, this character was actually diseased father's shrine. Okay, diseased father's shrine. How complicated is that? And how exotic was that, right? Today, if your father passed away, you put it in a cemetery, or a jar. But okay, ancient Chinese practice was instead of worshiping God, one or plural or multifunctional gods, oftentimes in Chinese household, there will be this shrine. It's a private family shrine. And in the shrine, there will be kind of tablets with your ancestor's name, just maximum 3 Chinese characters. So you can store a lot of them, stacking up. And this kind of a relatively permanent lineage tree. You have a family tree, like right there, everybody on that tablet. And if you're male, if you didn't blemish your family's name, and you give heirs, like you have a son to kind of insist put you up there when you're gone, because not everybody is qualified, like automatically put on to the family shrine. So this shrining your father, your most recent, just previous generation, up there on the supposedly a wall of decoration of a private sacred space in your family, that is this divine you originally mean. It means this dedication to your deceased father, and probably because you're the direct heir, and supposedly, I mean, the language used mostly are male, so male offspring would memorize and using this ceremonial way, and I guess culturally encouraged way to put their father on the tablet into their family shrine. And that's this me is about. And we don't use that. We lost the traditional, this tradition, at least in my part of China, probably in southern part of China, which was further away from the center of power. They probably still preserved some of the old way. But like I can only trace back to my grandparents' generation. Before then, it was lost. The tracks of family lineage was lost. Sad. Okay. 迷庙. I guess, 庙 is equivalent to temple. So for probably bigger, more influence, more like the family tree branch out really wide and deep, that kind of family got the resources so that instead of just have your private and kind of domestic shrine to worship your fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, and most generations, probably the family extended family share pool resources to build a temple dedicated to their common ancestors so that you can have all the branches together, instead of hosting on the already split up families. You unify that, have your all the same last name holders under the same roof, same temple. So that's 迷庙. 迷祖. We talked about 祖 last year, I believe, and you see it share the same divinity 是 symbol. And then here is kind of the look of the tablet. So that shows you visually that Chinese really takes ancestor worshiping seriously. So they build the temples, and then they have this tablet. This could be held in a private home. 行迷, okay. 行 means mobile, means traveling. And me, this deceased father in a shrine. Okay, turns out this was an ancient practice before Qin, the first unified China dynasty, that when you go to war, you don't know you're going to return or not, right? And just like in contemporary in soccer games, right? We can see some soccer players would pray, would do something, right? Or wear some charms as if that gives them protection or luck, right? That's charm, what that is. Try to be luckier than your, logical portion of luck. 行迷 was such a thing that going to a battlefield because it's life and death, it's like even more things on the stake, and you try to get as much blessing and protection as possible by bringing a tablet of your deceased ancestor, your father, that with you, traveling with you, as if your father would grant you extra wisdom, luck, or if anything, courage to face the dire situation of a battlefield. So that's 行迷, and eventually that tradition got, formalized into, instead of carrying your deceased father. I mean, if in ancient times military traditions continue within the same family line, then possible that your deceased father was also like a warrior or something, right? Have done the same thing and have their bravery lore in a family lore. So you want to share that because you carry the same bloodline, right? And eventually that became more standardized, more like, instead of relying on your own bloodline, that becomes like a war god, like a more universal kind of generic god, a lore that you feel like can render you extra luck and protection. So here is when I search for divine you, I come up with this picture, and I want to point out that's interesting because here is recognizing you are the one who are supposed to love you. But all this kind of lingerie, implication of pink, the feminism sense of self feeling here, like you love you. Yes, it's right. It's self-care, self-love. But here, divine you is more than that, right? More than flesh, more than self-care. I would be happier if here we switch the love to another 4-character critical word, which is you know you. If self-knowledge is present in there, then I guess that's the more likely the ticket to get to the divinity in each of us. Me, thank you for your time. See you another day.